Hi guys! So incredible as it is, the new year is almost upon us and I wanted to do a 2018 planner lineup video. As you can see here, I have quite a substantial stack of planners that I'm planning to use in 2018, but don't be alarmed. These are not all actually planners in the true sense of the word. Some of them are trackers and some of them are for more specific things. So I'll show you each one according to category, and we will start with my core planning system. So as many of you know, there are only two planners in this system, my Hobonichi Cousin and my Hobonichi Weeks. So if I needed to, I could function perfectly well with just these two. These are the only ones that I put new planning information into. If you see what I mean, appointments, events, and most of my to-dos. So we'll start with my Hobonichi Cousin, because this is the one that I use quite a lot of the time. This is my work planner, and nothing has changed here, and in fact this isn't even a new planner. This is the 2017 Spring Cousin, so I started using it in the end of March 2017, but I'm including it in this lineup because it still has 3 months left to go. So I'll be using it until the end of March 2018, and I'll be ordering the new one in February when they release the 2018 Spring Cousins. So I'm using this exactly the same way that I have been using it up until now, so there's nothing new here. I use the weeklies as the core of my planning system, where I put all of my appointments, whether they're work or other things, anything that's time-based, and I also put in my work to-dos. And in the daily pages, I make all kinds of work-related notes, and I keep more long-term things like ideas for projects, students' marks, and that kind of stuff. And on particularly busy days, I also use it as a daily planner. And then the monthly I use for more bird's eye view planning, so which days I'm going to be at home and I can do research projects, that sort of thing. And then I use the yearly here as an index to the daily pages. So if there's something that I'm going to have to refer back to over the course of the year, I put it in here so that I can find it. So that's my cousin. No changes there. This is a tried and tested core element of my planning system. And no less essential is my Hobonichi Weeks. I've just done a setup video of this, so if you've seen that, then you know how I'm using this. I'm using this mostly as a personal to-do list. So on the left-hand side of the page, I put in appointments, well, usually not appointments, usually just to-dos that are day-specific, so things that I want to do on a particular day. And then on the right, I use it as a more general to-do list for the week. Occasionally I put in appointments, but generally I keep all of the appointments in here. So if I put anything in here, it's doubling up, and I prefer not to do that. So usually I only put an appointment here if I make the appointment when I only have this book to hand, because this is my catch-all, so I always have it with me. I usually have this with me too, but occasionally, because it's heavier, I might take it out of my bag and put it on the table, and so if I just happen to be sitting in a chair, I always have my bag with me, and I can write it down in this and then transfer it to this one later. So that's generally the only way that appointments get into here. And I put in things like when I'm posting a video, reminders for things like birthdays, that kind of stuff, anything that's not work related. And I'm using the notes pages for lists of longer term things, like a packing list that I can refer back to, planner lineups, planner videos to make. There's a lot of planner related stuff, but also I have a list of food that it's always good for us to have in the flat, that kind of stuff. So this is really just a catch-all personal planner, but mostly the emphasis is on to-dos rather than on events. So like I said, these two planners make up the heart of my planning system, and they're really the only planners that I actually need. The rest that you're going to see now are just for fun. So when people say, like, how can you have so many planners? How can you function like that? I don't actually use 10 different planners on a daily basis. The rest of them are just for specific things that I like to either track, so it's not actually planning, or one specific thing that I like to be able to plan out in depth. So the next planner in my lineup is my daily planner, and this is an Inkwell Press 2018 daily planner. So this is really ideal, I think, as a daily planner. I have been using a daily planner probably for about a year and a half, or maybe more than that. And I really enjoy it. I would say that the daily planner for me is not a core part of my system in the same way that these two are, because I don't use it to put new information generally. What I normally do is I'll take the information at the beginning of the day that's in these two planners, and I'll just combine it so that I have everything in a list. What I used to do before I had the Inkwell Press planner was I would just take an undated notebook and just write a long list of everything I had to do. And I would add in some extra stuff that isn't in these two planners. If it's, you know, really mundane stuff like make tea, have breakfast, hang up laundry, things that are too everyday and routine for me to bother putting in these planners, but that still need to get done. So with this planner, it works slightly differently because, as many of you know if you've seen my video about how I'm using this planner, it's divided into immediate, important, and insignificant, and then it has a schedule here. So instead of just writing one big long list, I divide things up. Usually immediate is things that I really want to do straight away, even if it's, you know, not urgent. They're just the things that are not that important in the grand scheme of things, the things that I just want to get taken care of before I move on to the heart of what I'm going to be working on that day. I usually use this planner when I'm at home, because if I'm at work, I obviously am not going to take this bulky planner in with me in addition to these two. So if I have a lot of to-dos while I'm at work, like I said, I use the daily pages of my Hobonichi Cousin as a daily planner. So if I'm at home and I'm working on various different things, then sometimes I use this planner, but only as and when, because as you can see, it's undated. So it's a 2018 planner and it says 2018 on the cover, but other than that, there are no dates, except for here at the end when you get a 2018 and 2019 calendar. So I actually started using this in mid-September, and I've really been enjoying it, and I'm going to carry on using it into 2018. This did put me into a little bit of a planner dilemma though, because I had bought this daily Moleskine back in July or August, and this is a planner that I used this as my main planner in 2014. And since then, I've bought it almost every year just because I really like it, and I would have missed not having one, but it hasn't gone so well with finding a use for it. And for the last few years, I haven't really found a consistent use that I have stuck with over the whole year. So I should really stop buying them. But in the meantime, I bought this thinking I would use it as a daily planner. That was before I got this, so I thought I'll use this as a daily planner for 2018. It's dated, and because I don't need a daily planner every day, that means that some days would just be left blank, which is always a travesty for a planner addict. But I thought it would be really nice as a daily planner because it's got the right amount of space. It's an A5 slim. It would be perfect for a daily planner. I mean, that's what it is. It's called the Moleskine Daily Diary. But then when I got this, and I really liked the layout and the feel and of the paper and the whole aesthetic, I thought I'd rather keep using this. So now I've kind of got a bit of a dilemma because I think I'm going to go with this for 2018, but because it's undated, I could actually use this instead and then go back to this afterwards. The only problem is that it says 2018 on the front, which I kind of wish it didn't do because the whole thing is undated, so I feel like putting a giant date on the front of the planner makes it a little bit more limited, especially if you're a super type A like me and it bugs you. You know, if I was using a planner that said 2018 and it was 2020, I feel like I might be a little bit annoyed. Obviously, I could cover it up with a sticker, but the whole thing is so elegant and understated that I'm not sure if I would like how that looked. So that's something that I've been thinking about. Of course, it's very superficial because you only have this one date on the cover and then the rest of it's undated, so it really doesn't matter in practical terms that it says 2018. So I think I might be able to live with that. And I don't want to waste this planner, and I love it so much that I don't really want to give it away, even though I might end up doing that if I can't find a use for it. But I'm thinking I might use this as the daily planner after all, just so that I find a use for it. And I know people say you don't need to worry about the dates, you can cover up the dates and use your dated planners in later years, and that's totally true. But again, being super type A, that kind of thing has a tendency to bug me if there are a lot of stickers or washi tape covering things up. So I might try using this as a daily planner instead of this. I'm not completely sure. So this is something that I haven't totally committed to. I still have a few days to go before I have to decide permanently. But that is a bit of a dilemma. But anyway, I will definitely have a daily planner in my lineup. Okay, so the daily planner is kind of the bridge between my core planning system and the more specific planners, in that it includes all of my activities, but it's not an essential part of the system in that I don't use it every day and I don't need to refer back to it and I don't do any forward planning in it. So it's a little bit more niche than the two core planners. But now we get onto the planners that really fulfill more of a specific function. So this is my large Erin Condren hardbound planner, which I've been using since July when it started. So again, this is not a new planner for 2018, but I'm going to carry on using it, and it's an 18-month planner, so I will actually be using it for the whole of 2018. It's just that it had an extra 6 months at the beginning. And this is my home planner. So I use this for appointments and to-dos, but mostly appointments that are joint between me and James and our dogs. And I also use it as my pretty planner. So this has things that are relevant to all of us, but it's also just a space to be able to use lots of stickers, mostly happy planner stickers. So I'll put things like my former head of department had a Christmas party that we went to, and it's my friend's birthday. James is working on all of these days, and my colleague is coming over to work on a project together with me. So I put that kind of stuff in because it's things that are relevant to both me and James. And then there are also things like appointments for our dogs, or Tails' birthday was this week. Tails went in to the vet for his vaccinations. All of that kind of stuff I put in here, but there's not a huge amount of detail that goes into it. It's more like something that we have open on the table and we can check it if we need to, but it's not like the world would end if we couldn't find this planner. It doesn't have detailed information in it. It's really just something to brighten up the table and give us an overview of the week, I would say. But I really, really enjoy this, so I consider it a vital part of my planning system just because it's the main place where I can use lots of stickers, and on Friday nights, that is my usual time for decorating the next week and setting it up, and I really, really enjoy that. So this is going to continue into 2018. Then I have my planner. So I did a setup video of this recently, so some of you already know about this. This is a planner that I have decided to use for 2018 just to focus purely on my planner hobby. So I'm looking forward to it starting because I set it up already probably about a month and a half ago, and I've been looking forward to being able to use the dated part of it. So this is a 2018 monthly planner by Moleskine. And in the monthly section, I'm just going to put videos when I want to post a particular video, and I'm going to try to map out the month like that. And then here I'm going to keep lists of all the videos that I want to make in a particular month, not necessarily by date, just a list, and then I can slot them in here. And then I've got other things that I want to keep track of, like planner supplies that I want to buy, and my current lineup for the month, which will probably change quite a bit as the month goes on. So I've just started decorating February there as well, because I want to put everything on stickers. And then in the back you get about 50 pages of lined note paper, and so here I'm just keeping things that either I've started taking notes of before this 2018 section kicks in, or things that will be valid more for the whole year, like if I have some unused planners, ideas for what to use them for, my pen collection, and this I've just decorated ahead so that I can use it whenever I want to. So this is my planner. So this is an example of a planner which is not strictly necessary. So if someone is like, why do you have so many planners? I enjoy having a separate place where I can just put everything to do with planning, because that is my hobby and I like it, and so I feel like it deserves its own planner. But obviously I don't really need this. I could get by without it. I could put all of this information in my personal planner, and in fact I do put a lot of it in my personal planner. But it's just that when I'm home and I have a bit of time to work on it, I like having everything in here because it's fun, essentially. So that's the planner. Then this planner is the Hebrew English Week to View Desk Diary. So this has Jewish holidays and dates on the Jewish calendar. And this is a planner where I put jobs for James. So I've explained about this before. He finds this very helpful, and I know it sounds bossy, but he actually likes it. So I put in things that I have asked him to do around the house, mostly because he kind of like finds it hard to keep track of things like that. So if I put it in here, then he can check this rather than me keeping reminding him. So yeah, so this is just like a partner planner, essentially. That's what this is for. And then this is a new addition. Well, I've had this planner for a while, but I've only recently started using it for this purpose. This is the last of the specific function planners. So this is a large happy planner. It's undated, and I've had it for quite a while, but I haven't ever really found a use for it. And recently we started using it for meal planning. So those of you who have been watching my videos for a while know that I have had a kind of love-hate relationship with meal planning. It's something that I have never managed to keep at, but I find it really helpful when I do it, and I've tried doing it in different ways, and people have had lots of suggestions which are great ideas, and then I just don't manage to follow through. I don't know what it is about meal planning, but we hadn't been meal planning for ages, and I was getting to the point where I was feeling like we never had any food in the house and we never knew what to make, and it was really frustrating. And so I thought, if I just plan the next day, then it's like I'll have an instruction manual, and when the day comes I'll just look up what I've written on here, and then I will go and make that, and that will take care of the problem. So I've only been doing this for about the past week and a half, but it's been really helpful. So just doing it a day in advance means it's not too overwhelming, like we don't have to plan out the whole week's worth of meals, and I'm doing it for all of the meals, which is why I think this planner is ideal, because it's divided into 3 sections. So if I use this for morning, afternoon and evening, then visually it just immediately tells you where to look, and instead of having to label things or just like kind of have a list, which I've done in previous years. So I've had planners like the mini happy planner, let's say, where you have a horizontal layout, and that I feel like it doesn't work too well for me as a meal planner, because I just, when I open it, I just see this block of writing, and I know it's a small thing, but somehow having to look and see which bit's breakfast, which bit's lunch, I find somehow makes me use it less, whereas having it separated like this, it just feels really easy, and James feels the same. So we're both really happy with this. I wouldn't need a big happy planner for this, but because I happen to have one, that's what I'm using, because I'm trying to cut down on buying new planner supplies unless absolutely necessary. Necessary is a relative term, I know, but I already had this, and so that's what we're going to use for 2018. It's obviously undated, so if I somehow fall off the meal planning wagon, then it's not so bad, because I can use this planner for something else and just tear out the pages that are already filled, which is something that has been a problem previously when I've used a bound planner for meal planning, because I love bound planners. Bound planners are my favorite kind of planner, but they do have a problem in that if you start using them for one function and then you stop, like meal planning, then you can't tear out the pages, and I don't like cutting them out, because I can't do it well enough that I can't see what was missing, like a sort of remnant of the bit of the page that was cut out. So then I often have a problem, because I don't like to start using the planner for something else. It bugs me that it was used for different things. So this is really ideal for something like that, where there's a chance that I might give up and not use it for the whole year. So for now it's really helpful. It's very, very simple, but I like having instructions for myself about what to eat. So I find that makes things a lot easier. And so my plan is just to carry on using this as long as we need a meal planner. So that's the last of these specific single-use function planners. I should just mention that another possible candidate for this would be as a meal planner, and I was briefly entertaining that because it has enough room that you could put morning, afternoon, evening here. But we decided that we like how this is big, we like how you just have to glance at it and you can easily see through the division that's already printed on the paper, morning, afternoon, evening, whereas if I were to use this, I'd have to draw lines myself, which I just know I won't keep up with. So this is probably not going to be a meal planner either. Okay, now we go on to the last category of planners, which is books that are not actually planners, but are trackers of some kind. So I consider them planners in that, you know, they were designed as planners, but I'm not actually using them to plan things, I'm using them to track things that have already happened. So this is the small hardbound Erin Condren, which I've been using, again, since it came out in July. So this is not a new planner for 2018, but it is, again, an 18-month planner, so I do have a whole year's worth of planning pages here. It's just that I also had an extra 6 months that have already been used. And this is my expenses tracker. So the idea is that in the monthly spread I put my bank balance and I check my bank balance regularly. That's the idea. And then in the weekly spreads I'll just write down all of my expenses and theoretically add them all up and put the totals in the notes pages here and see what was spent on food and what was spent on planner supplies, etc. I have been quite remiss with this. I started off really well in July and then I kind of started becoming more sporadic with it, and recently I've been quite bad with recording things. So you can see this is this week. I have spent money this week so far, but I just haven't written it down. Part of it is because, as I mentioned, this planner is on the shelf, and so I'm extremely lazy, and if it's not right with me when I spend the money, then I'm just not writing it down. But I know that I can do it, so I'm going to persist, and I want to keep this in the lineup for 2018 because I think it's really useful, just as an exercise, just to see what I spend money on, and then I can look back later and see, you know, if I'm thinking, God, where did all the money go this month? And I can look back and see. The problem with this is that sometimes I don't put big expenses in here because either well, it started off with, I made a budget for what I thought I should be able to spend in a week. But the budget didn't include things like big expenses that I had kind of already calculated as being things that I need to save money for, you know, like eventualities. So this is like kind of supposed to chronicle day-to-day spending. But sometimes if I'd spend a lot of money, then I wouldn't want to put it in here because it would kind of mess up my total. But actually then money has been spent, so it's like this, what is in here doesn't correspond to my bank balance. So I think I need to think of a slightly different way of doing this so that I can record everything, but no, you know, like not get depressed if I see like, oh, I spent £300, but actually I spent it on like the dentist or something that is not like just, you know, kind of standard weekly expenses or coming out of my free spending budget. Anyway, so these are all kind of reasons why the expenses planner has not been kept up to date as much as it should be, but I would still like to keep using it in 2018. So that's that. Then we have a couple of new additions. So this is a really exciting one. This is the Hobonichi 5-year techo, which I have just recently received and did a walkthrough of. So I'm really excited to start using this as a gratitude and vision book. So what I'm going to do with this is put one thing that I'm grateful for each day and then put in like the 6 highlights of the day here, and then on the right hand side I'm going to put in 5 or 6 things that I want to happen so that I'm kind of visualizing. And I've had something like this for the last maybe 6 or 7 years, I think. Most recently I've been using an A6 Hobonichi, one year Hobonichi, which is not ideal for that purpose because there's too much room in it. So I end up with a lot of blank space. So I decided not to carry that into 2018 and instead to use this because I think this will be perfect for that because you have just enough room. You have 7 lines, so it's not overwhelming. And I think that this is the perfect kind of thing to be able to look back on. And I love the idea that, say in 2021, I'll look back and see what were the highlights of my day in 2018 and be able to see it all on the same page, which is obviously the idea. So a lot of people have been saying, like, you're never going to be able to use this for 5 years. It's impossible. No planner addict can do that. And it is a tall challenge, but I'm hoping that because I've had this kind of book for the last number of years, that if I, you know, tell my brain, you have a gratitude journal anyway, there's no point switching, it will be much more fun having the same one and being able to watch it grow and look back over it over the years, then I'll be able to keep with it, especially because, as you have seen, I have no shortage of planners, and if I get bored of one planner and switch it out, then I'm hoping that that will satisfy my planner switching out lust. So I see this as quite a challenge, but I'm really looking forward to it. So when I made the walkthrough video, I said that my only problem with it is that it doesn't have a built-in pen loop, and the pen loops that I tried ended up being too heavy because the cover is quite not flimsy, but it's vinyl, so it's quite bendy. It's not really stiff. It's not like, say, a hardback like this one, which takes this metal pen loop really well. And I think it's not actually the pen loop that's the problem, it's more the pen. When you put the pen in the pen loop, then it ends up being really heavy. So what I've decided to do instead is use this cork wallet. So this is like it's a cork leather wallet. So cork leather, vegan leather. And I had this anyway. I bought this years ago. I think it was originally supposed to be a Kindle cover. But it's the perfect size, and it also has room for the pen. So I thought this will be a really nice way of keeping it, at least for now. Maybe at some point I will get a cover. I think Cadenette Notebooks on Etsy or Lyra & Co. also on Etsy are great at making custom covers, and I'm sure that they would be able to make one for the 5-year techo, but for now, because I already have this, instead of getting something new, I'm going to keep it in that. So that will be my gratitude book. And finally, last but not least, we have another new edition. This is the Jolie planner, which I have just done a review of. I'm not sure if it's been posted yet or not, but if it hasn't, it will appear soon on my channel. And this is an A5 slim weekly planner, and I am going to use this for writing positive affirmations. So this is something new, which I haven't done before, but I decided that I thought it would be a good idea to start doing it because it would be a good way of countering worry and doubts and like kind of negative thoughts. So just, you know, a thing kind of like a vision book, but just writing like kind of positive statements and about like myself and my life. So I have actually started doing this recently, but it hasn't been in its own book. I've been doing it in my original Hobonichi, which is also my gratitude journal and vision book. So I thought that for 2018 it would be nice to commemorate this function with its own planner. So this is a 2018 planner. It starts January 1st, 2018. So I'm really looking forward to start using it. And again, I think it's perfect for this kind of thing because it only has about 5 lines per day, so it's not overwhelming, and you know, you can just write a few positive statements about your life, and that's it for the day. I've actually already started using it because it has a lot of notes pages in the back, so I've written some things for the last couple of days, as it hasn't actually started yet. So I think that this is really good for that, just for that kind of purpose, because it's quite minimal, just has the right amount of room so that you can use it without it feeling like, you know, it's too daunting. Another thing that I was thinking at one point of using this for was for the affirmations, but I think that this is too big. It's a whole A5 page, and I think that I would rather not have enough room and be left feeling like I want to write more, because that will encourage me to come back the next day and write more affirmations, rather than feeling like I have to fill this whole page. Because, you know, us planner addicts, even if you know rationally that nobody's making you fill the whole page, seeing the blank page and if you fill like say 4 or 5 lines and you've got the rest of it staring at you, it makes you kind of feel like you failed, even though you're only doing it for yourself. So I feel like it's not a good way to start out with the affirmations journal by using a book that's too big and feeling like I can never possibly fill it, because then it becomes a burden and then you just give up, or that's what I do anyway. So I think that this will be good for that, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to keep up with it, because if I don't, then I'll be stuck due to the aforementioned problem about what to do with bound planners when I've started using them for something and then not carried through, and then I don't want to use it for anything different and then it ends up in my graveyard. So I'm really hoping that won't happen with this, because I think that this is perfect for that sort of thing. The only other option would be for me to use something like a disc bound planner where I could tear out the pages if I ended up not using it for more than a couple of weeks or a month. But I'm going to try this and see how it goes. So that is it. That is my 2018 planner lineup. So as you have seen, I have 3 trackers of various kinds. I have 4 specific planners that are used for, you know, one niche function. I have this daily planner, which is kind of in between niche and general. And then I have my 2 all-round trusty core planners. So I know this is really unwieldy. This is 10 planners or 10 books altogether. They're not all being used as planners, as I said. But I really like this because I love planners. I love using different planners. I love experimenting with different purposes for different planners. And because I've got this core system of these 2 planners that go everywhere with me, I feel like the rest of them are just for fun, but they actually bring a lot of positives to my life and I enjoy using them. So I wouldn't want to give them up, even though I could function quite well with just these 2. So some of them, I think, like the meal planner, might not last the whole of 2018. Some of them I know definitely will, like these 2 guaranteed. And the big Erin Condren, I would really like to see this through to the end of 2018 so that the whole book is filled up. And I've already had this for 6 months and really like it, so I think that's not unrealistic. Some of them, like the planner, I'm not really sure. It could be that I'll find it too much to keep up with this and I'll end up just putting all the planning information in my personal planner. But I would quite like to keep up with this because I feel like it's a way of sort of giving due attention to my planner hobby, which I would really like to do, and like focusing on it. So that is my system. The only planner that is dated that has yet to find a function is this one. So until January 1st, I am going to keep trying to think of possible ways that I could use this. And I'll keep you posted on what happens, what I decide to do with it. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Best wishes to everyone for the start of 2018. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!